So you want to get more visible, you want to have more impact, more influence, attract aligned clients, make more sales, but you're kind of feeling stuck. You don't really know what your next step is. You don't know if what you're doing is the right thing, or maybe you don't even fully understand what getting visible really means. You just know that you need to be showing up more. Now, if you're a female business owner and this sounds familiar, I want you to listen in because I'm going to help to clear up a lot of confusion and present the topic of visibility in a way that maybe you haven't heard before. I don't know about you, but to me, visibility can sometimes feel very abstract and overwhelming and even exhausting if you're trying to figure it all out without a clear understanding of what it means. Now, without an aligned strategy, it can drain your time and your energy and your resources, and it can lead to burnout and frustration instead of getting the results that you want. Even worse, it might keep you stuck in hiding where no one can even find you. So visibility is so important because that's how you build trust with your audience. Hey there, I'm Jen Silbert, and I have spent years in the online space, on stages, in the public speaking realm, and I have come across so many women who are holding back from putting themselves out there fully, authentically, confidently, and owning their magic. Why? Well, because they're afraid of being judged, criticized, or rejected, because they don't have the right words to say, because they don't want to be on camera, or maybe they're just stuck in tech overwhelm. There are a lot of different reasons why we hesitate and get stuck when it comes to being more visible. But that is why I created what I call the Visibility Trifecta. And it's a simple framework that breaks down what it really takes to go from invisible to influential without spinning your wheels. So if you're ready, let's dive in. So this is the framework that I created that is making sense of visibility like never before. And in fact, it feels like a framework that I can use for a number of my other programs. So, I wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel, but experiment and find a way that this was going to make sense to me so that I wasn't burning myself out anymore and I was really hitting the mark and having the impact that I wanted. So hopefully this might make sense to you. And this is what I'm going to explain today. But what I want to do is to take you from invisible to influential. But a quick backstory on how I got here, because it's kind of funny. Maybe you can relate. But for years, I just feel like I'm running this marathon when it comes to visibility. I'm like showing up every day. I'm posting, I'm doing live videos, podcasting, I'm blogging, and I'm just spinning my wheels and burning out. Now, I did have a skewed sense of success because I was chasing the metrics. All right, and that's another story, but I kept hearing that that was the ultimate goal. And that's what we want, right? But despite my efforts, I'd hit a wall and then I would pull back and then I would go into hesitation. I'd feel self-doubt and I'd just be right back to the starting line again. And I'd just be waiting, convinced that there's somebody out there that's just got the winning formula. But, can you relate? You do this too? I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to do a 30-day live challenge and I'm just going to get on there and do a video every single day. All right, that's good to a point because most of the time we don't really have a strategy for when we show up. We just get on there, we start talking, we think that's good, tell everybody about our day, what we just learned. But that was not working. After a while, it's like, okay, there were some communication skills here that I hadn't quite mastered. I wasn't getting to a point. It was taking too long to make my point. It wasn't interesting. It wasn't relating to the audience. It was all about me. That just wasn't working. What happened is that I felt like this whole exercise was like a big giant jigsaw puzzle. And there was always a piece that was missing. Every time I'd figure it out, I'd meet another expert who would just promise like the winning formula. And I'd say, oh, you need better branding. You need to niche down. You need to do more reels. That's the winning formula. None of this was really giving me a complete picture of what was holding me back. I thought visibility was just everywhere all the time and being in people's faces, but that felt like the equivalent of just shouting into the void and hoping somebody's going to hear me. And it was exhausting, it was draining, and it didn't even feel authentic. Now, as time goes on, I'm unknowingly missing the mark in many ways. I told you that I'm focusing on a skewed sense of success, and that's a whole nother story. But also, what I was doing was really part of a marketing strategy, and that's necessary. You know, you need to have strategies to sell and convert, but visibility is how you show up to build authentic presence and trust and connection before marketing even begins, so that your ideal customers learn to know, like, and trust you. And they know that you're the go-to girl to want. Ask around my peers and my clients, like, why they weren't showing up or why they're hesitating to show up. And I got all kinds of answers, but these were the most common. I just don't feel confident enough. I don't know what to say. I'm afraid of sounding salesy or pushy. Oh, it's just not right yet. I got to sit here and tweak some more. I got to make sure I dot all the I's and cross all the T's. Or I don't even know where to start. And so, you know, all of those are going to end up pulling you back into hiding where no one's going to see you. So I start cataloging everything that I'm hearing, and I'm realizing that every barrier fit neatly into one of three different categories: mindset, skill set, or tool set. And suddenly, visibility is making sense to me. It's taking the abstract and it's making it more clear and actionable. And that's where this visibility trifecta comes in. And you can see that where you have the intersection of each of these different elements, you see the results that you can get here. Everything that I'm looking for: to be more confident and authentic, to have more bold impact, to have strategy for how I'm going to implement this. And that's where this framework comes in. So I want to go ahead and break this down, and hopefully it's going to make sense to you. So we focus a lot on visibility, strategy, and tactics, but truthfully, it kind of all starts with what's going on in your head, which we call mindset. This is your beliefs. It's the inner dialogue. It's the chatter that's going on when you are thinking about pressing record or publish. You know, who am I to be seen as an expert? Imposter syndrome. I don't want to sound pushy. What if people are going to judge me? How am I going to handle that? You know, all of these thoughts are going to keep you in hiding. And you need a strong mindset to overcome all these internal barriers. But for many women, especially those who have been conditioned to be a good girl, this is not just something that you can snap your finger and get over. This requires deeply ingrained thinking, and it requires conscientious attention to redirect and rewire and reframe those thoughts that are keeping you stuck in the background. All right, what would, if we're going to go from doubt and fear to bold visibility, what kind of created this category? And it's a progression, because you can't just snap your finger and boom, you're more confident, no more negative thoughts. We kind of got to start here at block number 1, which is getting aware of those limiting beliefs, and then the inner dialogue that just keeps reinforcing those limiting beliefs. And how could you figure that out right now? Well, pay attention. When you're getting ready to press publish or record, what do you hear going on in the background? Because that's the inner dialogue. And what we'll do from there then is move into rewiring, redirecting those thoughts, that inner dialogue, developing that self-belief, that confidence that you can do this, that you are worthy, you have a valuable offer to put out there. And you start replacing I'm not good enough with I've got value to share. You start believing confidence isn't something that you're born with. It's a skill that you can develop. To more bold action, come out of hiding, shift your perspective from visibility is scary to visibility is critical opportunity for me to connect with my audience. And that happens when you make this perspective shift. And this is where bold visibility will show up. So mindset is definitely essential in this trifecta. Now, visibility also requires learning the how. And that's the skill set that you need to show up and make sure that you're strong, that your message resonates and clicks with your audience, and you're creating real impact. I'm going to break this down a little bit more, but what I think you're going to see is that these are not just innate like talents that you're born with. These are skills that you can develop. You just have to go develop the skills. And this will give you the confidence that you're looking for. So let's break this down. I've got 5 skill sets that I think are really vital for bold visibility. And the first one is assertiveness. No brainer. This is about expressing your thoughts and your needs and your feelings confidently without being aggressive. You're being assertive. So it's not the same. And for homework, maybe I would have you just find your role model for an assertive woman who makes her point, who has commanding presence and engages you and resonates with you, someone who you think is authentic. And just start maybe mimicking, practicing the same kind of assertiveness that they use. And that would be they can confidently communicate, make their point. They ask directly for what they need. There's no beating around the bush. There's no apologizing or hesitation, question marks at the end of their sentences. They can get what they want because they believe that they deserve it. And, they just own their value. Commanding body language is another skill. And this is your posture, your eye contact, the way you hold yourself, putting your shoulders back and not sagging whenever you're hiding mode. I would find that when I was hiding, or feeling insecure, that I would, pull my head back instead of putting it out like this, which is a sign of assertiveness. Handling criticism constructively. Look, no bones about it. The more visible you get, the more possibility that you're going to get feedback. And that's what I call criticism. It's just feedback. It's not what you want to hear, but it's feedback. Where it becomes criticism is how you interpret it. So the key is to learn how to accept feedback, no matter what it is, and take it constructively, right? There's a skill set there. You're not getting defensive. Storytelling, another vital skill set. Not something that we all have, but we can learn. We can outsource things like copywriting, messaging, branding. Personal storytelling, you kind of really can't. That's all you. You can learn how to become a better storyteller. And let's face it, it's much more engaging to listen to someone who has a story to tell than just bullet points, which for me is kind of part of my corporate upbringing, is like, get to the point. make your point as swiftly as you can, as briefly as you can, but that's not really engaging emotions on behalf of the audience. So all skills that you can develop here and are a vital part of your visibility skill set. Business communication. This is the skill being able to communicate clearly and effectively with your clients, with potential partners, in networking, in customer service, and it's something even a solopreneur is going to encounter. Business communication is part of your onboarding package, your proposals, your rules of engagement. If you're going to partner with somebody to do a podcast together, you've got to have some rules of engagement there. So business communication, so that's a whole nother realm, and that requires attention. But if you don't have that in place, and then you get an offer to go guest on a podcast, you're kind of floundering. You're putting yourself out there without any real clear rules of engagement and purpose. And then the last is, I call visibility presence. And visibility presence is just how you engage your body, how you show up in front of others, whether you're on camera, whether you are on stage, whether you are in person. And that's the way that you own your voice, the way that you speak, the way that you present yourself. How authentic are you? How well are you able to engage with your audience to inspire action? And these are little subsets of that, like composure under pressure, which you know you're going to face when you're visible. There's going to be a tech hiccup. There's going to be an interruption. How are you going to handle that? Staying focused when these things happen, not crumbling under pressure. Your vocal delivery and your expression, how you master things like tone and pacing. These are things that you might learn in like a public speaking class. How to engage your audience, making authentic connections. You know, you do that whether you're on camera and you're doing a live, whether you're in person, you're networking. But how do you do that? I would say active listening skills are maybe a part of that too, because you are trying to listen to what the needs are. You do this when you're coaching, right? You're listening to someone as much as you are speaking to them when you're engaging. And then physical presence and movement. That's your whole body language and gestures and your posture that all convey confidence. All things that can be learned. This subset is so vital, but oftentimes very overlooked. And I feel like I found a couple new categories that we can give attention to in setting boundaries that maybe you had before. Protecting your time and energy. Well, you can't be everywhere all the time and not eventually burn out. So let's set up some boundaries to know where you're going to be, how much you're going to give, maybe surveying each of the different platforms and knowing which one is going to resonate best with you. Are you going to do shorts? You're going to do reels versus long form videos? That's all a part of protecting your time and energy. But then there'll be other subsets of that too, where you get into batching and other time management techniques to help you to do that, and habits that you set up to reinforce it. Here's a good one. Managing the creative process. This to me is where perfectionism comes in. When you're in constant tweaking mode and it's never good enough before you put it out there, then you need to set boundaries on when you're finally going to release your products. Now, maybe you're going to have somebody will check. Maybe you've got a VA who's going to review everything. You're going to use AI to review for typos and whatnot. But at some point, you have to just let it go. So where are you going to draw that line so that you're not staying and hiding and finally getting out there? This next one is a good one. What to share and what to keep private. In this day and age, people are just spilling their guts, and you can discern whether or not you find that it's too much
whether it's overexposure, whether it's a turn off. Some people really like that. There's a lot of conversations about how much you really need to share in the story that led you to overcoming an obstacle, the trials that you encounter every day. Set your boundaries so that you're not out there overexposing yourself, because that oftentimes can have this effect of feeling authentic. Where and how you're going to engage. Makes sense. You don't want to be everywhere being all the things, so setting your boundaries, there's a strategy involved in that too. And those are the 5 overall skill sets that I came up with that lead you to bold visibility. If you have any others, feel free to comment in the comments. I'd love your suggestions, but I think this is a good starting point. All right, then we're at the tail end here of our framework, the tool set. These are the systems that support you. Oftentimes what we do is we jump right into tool set before we get into the skill set and the mindset. And that's where we kind of set ourselves up for possible failure. This is where things start to go wrong. Because the truth is that if you're going to jump directly into tool set, when you start realizing I need to get more visible, it's kind of like building a house without a blueprint. You've got all the tools. Okay, you're ready to go. You show up on the scene. You start hammering and sawing and all the things. And eventually you're like, okay, what am I building here? Okay, you don't have a foundation to even start with. So we go into tools, and you'll probably relate to this. That's usually where we want to start. All right, I need to get more visible. Let me get on TikTok. Let me start doing videos. And bam, 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 with no strategy, no plan, no mindset, attention, not the best of skills, as you've already learned. And it's kind of a setup. So you want to be sustainable when you start this process, because you can manage to put yourself out there, be everywhere, doing all the things, but eventually you're going to burn out. And then you won't be showing up at all. So I came up with some internal tools that I feel like we also need, because we got to factor in the nervous system. If you're not showing up, you're hesitating. If things go wrong when you are out there because you have a hiccup and then you shrink back, you don't know how to handle it, then we need to just get a toolbox to handle your nervous system and all the stress and anxiety that comes with being more visible. All of these I work into my own coaching program, and they are visibility work, breathing, both to prepare me to be more visible, but also while I am visible, which helps to control my pacing, my energy, and to reset when I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety and pressure. Visibility grounding exercises, and they can help to keep me present when I'm actually in the zone, as well as to prepare me before I get myself out there. Power poses are great for commanding body presence. And I found that when I have a confident, commanding presence, it just is embodied in my psyche. I feel more confident when I've got my shoulders back, when I use a power pose in front of others. And if you struggle with owning your space, then power poses are what you want to have in your toolbox. Meditation helps you to kind of the whole process so that you can imagine the success on the other side. You can rehearse and mentally practice through visualization. And affirmations and mantras are what you will want to have once you recognize the negative inner dialogue that goes on, so that you can reframe immediately. Because oftentimes that inner dialogue will always be there to some degree, but when you can be aware of it, catch yourself, and then immediately replace it with your affirmation or mantra, then you can recover much more quickly. And that's the value of an internal tools toolbox. And that'll get you through the journey from invisible to influential, to get to that bold visibility that you want, where you start hiding in your little cocoon. You're afraid to come out. You know you need to be more visible, but how am I going to get there? Well, we start by shifting our mindset, embracing our self-worth, making those, redirects so that we see visibility differently. We see ourselves differently. We see our offers differently. And then we rally up the skills that we need to develop our assertive presence, our commanding presence. We've got our boundaries in place. And then we can confidently go to the tools where we can amplify all that mindset and skill set work we've done and leverage that with the right platform, showing up in the right places that leverage our most authentic self, where we feel confident and comfortable. And the end result is that we show up boldly, command the influence and the impact and the engagement that we want. Beautiful butterfly who's capable of flying out there in any scenario. And that is the framework to break free from hesitation and self-doubt, people-pleasing, so they can own your voice and you can stand in your power and know that you're bringing all of yourself, your whole self, into the conversation here. So you have greater influence and impact, and you attract the right clients and become magnetic.
Thanks for watching. Now go be bold, take up space, and hit like, share, subscribe before you go.